Hello, and welcome to another edition of Real Possibilities. Social Security. Social Security. Is it going to be there? Is it going to be fully funded? What's happening with Social Security? I am so honored to have with us two very, very special guests, one by way of video and one by way of virtual. And that is Senator Gary Peters, who has a special message for everyone. Thank you, Senator Peters.
Hello, I'm U.S. Senator Gary Peters. And I'd first like to take a moment just to thank everyone at AARP for all of the amazing work that you do to support seniors across our entire state, as well as across our country. At the heart of that work is fighting tooth and nail to protect Americans' hard-earned Social Security benefits. Social Security is the single most effective anti-poverty program for older Americans, allowing so many of our seniors to live happy, independent lives. Generations of Americans have paid into Social Security under the promise that they can retire with dignity and respect. And now, more than ever, your work to make sure they receive the benefits they earned is absolutely essential. So please know that I am committed to continuing to fight alongside you and will oppose any and all attempts to cut Social Security, Medicare, and other vital resources. So thank you again. Thank you for all that you do for our state. Our communities are stronger because of your dedication and advocacy.
And when he talks about us getting together, he doesn't just mean AARP, he means every single person needs to be alert and be in tune with what's happening with Social Security. So let's continue this fight together. And now my other very special guest is Hillary Hatch, who is the Public Affairs Specialist for Social Security Administration. Thanks, Hillary, for being with us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I can't imagine how much your phone must be ringing these days with questions about Social Security.
Yes, it's always busy. It's been especially busy lately. I know there's a lot of concerns, a lot of uncertainty with everything happening, so many changes happening and so quickly. So it's been a very, very busy time for us.
What's the number one question you're getting from people regarding Social Security?
So I would say the number one question that we're getting, which it's typically something that we always get, not just now, but anytime we do any sort of presentation in the community, usually the number one question is that we receive is about the solvency of Social Security, and people really asking, is Social Security going to be there for me? So should Social Security be a part of my retirement plan for individuals that are not receiving benefits yet? And it's really it's a challenging question to answer. We look at the Social Security Board of Trustees. They release an annual report on the financial status of our Social Security trust funds each year. And we have two Social Security trust funds. We have the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund, and then we also have the Disability Insurance Trust Fund. And so for the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund, currently, through that Board of Trustees report, the most recent one that came out, this trust fund is projected to become depleted in 2033. So that doesn't mean that benefits are going to stop altogether at that time. It's just that as of 2033, at that time, only 77% of the benefits are expected to be payable. And then with the Disability Insurance Trust Fund, those reserves are not projected to become depleted during that 75-year projection period. So these estimates are based on Congress not doing anything. In the past, Congress has always done something to ensure that Social Security benefits would continue to be paid. So for example, the full retirement age used to be age 65, and now the full retirement age is age 67 for individuals born 1960 or later. So will Congress raise the full retirement age again? Possibly. We can't really predict what Congress is going to do. I know we hear about a lot of different proposals that are out there. There are a lot of different opinions on those proposals. I think the best thing that we can do as individuals is really to stay informed, to focus on the facts, to vote, and to look at our community partners like AARP for those facts. Personally, Social Security is a part of my retirement plan, but it's not the only part of my retirement plan. And I think we're starting to see younger workers look at different aspects of their retirement plan, such as 401ks, IRAs, and Social Security just being one piece of it.
Thank you for that. And it's interesting. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that about the two boards and how Social Security is determined and the funding is determined. One of the things that we're hearing quite a bit is whether or not people are going to receive that, like you said, receive their full amount of the money that they've earned. And that's another misperception sometimes. People think this is an entitlement, but these are dollars that folks have earned. And I think it's 2.3 million people in Michigan are receiving Social Security. 2.3 million folks are receiving Social Security, and 88% are relying on Social Security. If it's cut by 77%, has there been any calculation or any estimates in terms of what that would mean for folks? 'Cause we're hearing stories and people are concerned.
So we don't really have any, numbers that are out there of what that's going to look like. So when we look at the Board of Trustees report, it's saying that if Congress doesn't do anything in 2033, we could pay 77% of the benefits that are due at that time. But again, that's if Congress doesn't do anything. If we look back, throughout history, Congress has always done something to ensure that we can continue to pay those Social Security benefits.
And I appreciate that. I think that there's just a lot of chatter in terms of what's being cut and what's going to continue to happen. I know there's no way for you or anyone else to predict what that might be. So what would you suggest people do? And you said some things like just stay informed, vote. What else would you suggest they do if they have opinions about Social Security? Should they contact their congressperson? Should they contact your Board of Trustees? What should they do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it absolutely would be to contact your congressperson. That is the number one thing that you can do to ensure that Social Security is going to continue to be available to all of those individuals that need it.
And when we hear from young people who are currently paying into Social Security, and I know you mentioned alternative funding streams like 401ks and other funding streams. Is Social Security going to be there for them? If they pay into it now, they're paying into it now, they're working, will they get that money back even though it may not be fully funded? Anyone who's paid in, will they be grandfathered in? Is this going to start as a particular date and time, or don't you have the answer to that question?
So I don't have the answer to that question, but I think, whatever it is that Congress decides to do, like let's say it is raise the full retirement age. If something like that were to be passed, it most likely wouldn't be, starting, with workers, right away that are retiring. It's going to start sometime in the future. Is what I would guess based on what Congress has done in the past. But when I do go out in the community and give presentations, this is something that does come up a lot with younger workers, asking about Social Security. If I'm paying in now, how can I ensure that my benefits are going to be available to me when I am old enough to file and start collecting? And again, it's just such a hard question to answer because I can't say with certainty that Social Security is going to be there. I can only talk about, where we're at now, the importance of Social Security, the importance of contacting your local Congress man or woman and to ensure, to get behind Social Security and make sure that you stay informed.
And one of the good piece of news here is that Social Security has been around for 90 years. I think August 14th is the 90th year celebration of Social Security. So AARP, in behalf of a lot of other organizations, are working to make certain that it's around for another 90 years and really encouraging Congress to act to assure its solvency, quite frankly. And that needs to start happening, or some discussion, because that's not an easy fix, as you said, because of the funding stream and the way that people aren't contributing to those funding streams the way that they used to in terms of the workplace anymore. We're hearing a lot too, Hillary, about wait lines and calls and people trying to call Social Security to get an answer, get a response. What can you tell us about some of the what I want to say, the wait times that are currently in existence regarding phone calls and people trying to get information. What's the best way for them to get their questions answered?
So thank you for acknowledging our 90th anniversary. First of all, it's always great to, look back and see all that we've accomplished. But of course, it's important to acknowledge our challenges. We are continuing to try to improve customer service while handling record transaction volumes. With a significant reduction in staff, we have reached our lowest staffing levels in 27 years. So it's a very challenging time for our agency. But as we move forward, our strategic vision really is to modernize Social Security's customer service. We're really trying to meet people where they are, address customer needs at the first point of contact, and then improve outcomes across all channels. So if we look at some of the progress in our service delivery, we are continuing to upgrade our phone technology nationwide, which has allowed us to reduce the average speed of answer on our 800 number to 13 minutes. This is a 35% reduction compared to this time last year. We have redistributed some of our staff to allow more individuals to answer some of those phone calls that are coming in to our 800 number. We are also optimizing the technology on the 800 number. So 90% of calls handled are now served via the automated self-service options, which also minimizes hold times. So using our automated telephone service, individuals can complete so many tasks without even having to wait to talk to an actual person. That option is, of course, still available. Someone can, wait to talk to a representative. But by using the automated service, some of the things individuals can do now without waiting to speak to someone is request a benefit verification letter, ask for a 1099, get a replacement Medicare card. If you filed for benefits and want to check the status, you can do so through that automated phone program. For individuals receiving Social Security benefits, you can change your address or phone number using that automated phone service. We have also implemented a new service model in our field offices that has reduced wait times by about 10%. And we call this an appointment-focused service model. So for most services, individuals will need an appointment instead of just walking into their local Social Security office. So for example, if someone wants to file for benefits, or if they want to get a Social Security card, they can do both of those things online. However, if they do not want to do those things online, then they would have to schedule an appointment in order to do that. One big change in our service recently is direct deposit changes. Individuals can no longer change their direct deposit over the phone. They can do so if they have a My Social Security account. They can do it online, or they can just go into their local office with a photo ID in order to change their direct deposit. And that's one of the services that they do not need an appointment for. We also, with our local field offices, having those appointments, like I said, it's really reducing the wait time that we're seeing individuals have experienced in the past with waiting in the local office and waiting to be served. So it's really important that individuals know, there aren't very many services where you can just walk right into your local Social Security office without having an appointment. Another big change recently is that we upgraded our My Social Security online portal to provide uninterrupted 24/7 access to our customers. So before, there used to be a little bit of a downtime, but now individuals can access their information online 24/7. Having that My Social Security account is really such a game changer for so many individuals Fiscal year to date, the number of transactions completed online is 421.3 million. So people are using that online portal, which is great. That's really such a great place to go without having, you don't have to, wait in line or wait on the phone if you have that My Social Security.
Absolutely. We want to encourage everybody to create your own Social Security account so that you can see exactly where you are with your benefits and just make certain that everything is in order. So that's an excellent suggestion. And then there's security of that, the security of going online. That's a secure site. People don't have to worry about that as well.
Yeah, yep. Individuals can now go online to have all of their access to their My Social Security information. They can file for benefits, they can change their contact information, and just really do business with us online instead of having to go into the office, schedule an appointment, or wait on the phone to speak to someone.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions before we let you go from folks. They want to know, how secure is the Social Security site? There's been so much, in terms of internet fraud and AI fraud, and all their information's out there. So there are older adults in particular are a little hesitant sometimes to put all this information online. Can you talk about the security of the online site?
Yes, so the online site, our website is www.ssa.gov. So that's the official Social Security website. When you create a My Social Security account, it's very secure. We actually just made some recent changes. So prior to June 7th of this year, individuals could log into their My Social Security account with just a username and password. But now individuals must sign in with a login.gov or id.me account. If someone already has one of these accounts, they can use their existing account information. If someone does not have one of these accounts, they would create a login.gov or id.me account first to be able to log into Social Security, their My Social Security portal. So those are our credentialing partners. That is how we verify your identity, and it's very, very secure.
Great, thank you. And a question from Sadie from Flint. When they go on to these, if they can't get into an account and they don't have a Social Security office in their area, can they go to another region, another area, another city, and make an appointment there?
Yes. So if you go to our website, ssa.gov/locator, you can put in your zip code, and your local Social Security office will come up, the one that is closest to you. If you wanted to put in a different zip code to see which office will come up, you can certainly do so. So you can go to a different Social Security office than, if there's one that's closer to you than what your zip code shows, you can do that.
Great. And in the time that we have left, what would you suggest, the two things you'd suggest people do regarding their own Social Security? I know you talked about the website and having an account, but what would you suggest they do to make certain that they have the money that they have earned by the time that they retire?
So the first thing is creating that My Social Security account. That's where you can get, estimates on your benefits. That's where you can do business with Social Security online. So that's the number one thing to do, is have that My Social Security account. And then when it comes to ensuring that Social Security is going to be there in the future, again, I think staying informed, knowing the facts, voting, and then also paying attention to those partner organizations, to get your information from. And of course, contact your local congressman, man or woman, in order to, really push the importance of Social Security to ensure the future of the program.
And as we wrap up, if you have a suggestion about what Congress should do, who makes the final decision? Is it Congress and based on recommendations from the two boards, or I know the Congress makes the final decision, but they get recommendations from whom? How do they make that final decision? From constituents, from the board? Who gives Congress information to help them make a decision about the solvency of Social Security?
So usually when a proposal is submitted, it will go to the Board of Trustees, but then we also have actuaries that work for Social Security, and those are the people that run all the numbers. So someone will submit some sort of proposal, and then the actuaries will take that proposal, run all of the numbers, and so it's basically just the facts that they're providing. You know, if we change the full retirement age to age 68, how is that going to impact the program? How much longer can we pay benefits out? So that information will then go back to Congress, who will decide whether or not they're going to pass it.
Well, you all, Social Security Administration here in Michigan has always been a good friend of AARP. We appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much for what you do, and we wish you the very best of luck with, excuse me, the resources that you have available to you. Thank you, Hillary, for being with us.
Thank you.
Prescription drugs, prescription medication, we take them, but we're not always certain about the side effects. What are the questions that we should ask? What do we need to know before we start taking a prescription medication?
That's a really, really good question. I ask everyone, and I've been guilty of this myself, is that when a physician writes you a new prescription, you're going to ask two questions. Is one, why are you writing this for me? And then the second one is, what is the exit strategy from this? And then you can ask about potential side effects. I found that a lot of my patients in general come in and I ask them about why are you on this drug, this drug, this drug. And I would say that the large majority of my patients can't tell me why they're on the medications or that they interact or don't interact. Now, I think that it's a very, very good practice for all patients is to always ask the doctor, why are you writing this for me, for what benefit, and how long will I be on it, and when can I get off of this med, if ever? What can I expect for side effects versus benefits? Always ask those questions every time.
And what happens if you aren't sharing with your physician or your pharmacist about other supplements that you might be taking that could interact with that prescription? How do you
You should
integrate
always
that?
let the doctors know what other supplements that you might be on. Most of them are genuinely fine and don't have a lot of interactions. But things like biotin that people do for their nails and their hair can actually mess with your lab work. It can actually be somewhat conflicting so that your blood work doesn't show properly because you're taking certain supplements. So always be open and honest even with supplements, which people don't think about as being a medicine, but it is.
What about multivitamins? Can they interact with?
They can, depending on how they're formulated, because there's iron and other things in them. But for the most part, multivitamins are made and manufactured specifically to be safe for almost all reasons with all medications. So pretty rare that you get too many side effects with multivitamins.
Appreciate that information. Thank you, Dr. June.
CATA's regional mobility solutions can help seniors seize the day. Hear what riders and community leaders have to say about the value CATA brings to the lives of aging adults.
My name is Robert Blakes, but at work they call me Bobby, so just as long as you don't call me late for supper, we're good. I was born and raised in Saginaw, Michigan, but I became a student at the Michigan School for the Blind, and I've been living on my own ever since 1978. Of course, I've been using SpecTrain ever since the late 1980s. CATA allows me to be independent. I can do shopping. I can, if I need to go to a doctor's appointment or just being taken back and forth to work, CATA allows me to do that. I work for the Braille and Talking Book Library. We have a service that supplies books on audio for our patrons to read. They're the same type of books that you would find in a public library, but we have a population that we serve. They get the books through the mail. So my responsibility is to maintain the machines that the books are played on. And these are digital players. And you can pull the cartridge from the machine and you can download several books onto that cartridge so they can have many, many hours of listening to many books at one time. If I did not have CATA, I would have a hard time transporting my work back and forth. It has allowed me to not depend on friends and neighbors to take me places because sometimes they don't have the time or they may forget. CATA, you can place a call and set up a ride and they'll come and get you. Pretty much a guarantee that you will get a ride to your destination.
I'm Tracy Anderson with Impart Alliance at Michigan State University. Today I'm here with Jennifer Digman from Mount Pleasant. We're going to talk about her advocacy around MS, around direct care in Lansing, as far as Washington, D.C. Tell me about it, Jennifer.
Oh, good heavens, there isn't enough time to, but it is so important. And I was diagnosed with this disease, and I realized that I need to use my voice. I'm fortunate to have direct care workers, people that come into my home to help me stay in my home. And I think I need to be an advocate because not everyone has the voice or feels comfortable talking about what an impact direct care workers make. And I enjoy sharing my story to make a difference so that other people can have the opportunities to stay in their own home and not have to go to a setting that's not as conducive to day-to-day happy existence.
How important is it for you to share your voice?
It is so important, and it feels really good. There's not a lot I can do as far as walking or working, but I can share my story to try and help other people understand that direct care workers benefit me, benefit the community, and it makes me a more valuable member of my community, my life, because they add to my reality and make me feel more powerful, because my disease makes me weak, but they make me strong.
I love that. Thank you, Jennifer. To learn more about Impart Alliance and our advocacy around direct care, please visit our website at impartalliance.msu.edu.
Today we're going to be talking about centennial farms and or that type of property that you want to protect. How do people do that?
Right. So the whole, it's difficult to keep a farm going. I don't have any farmer clients who don't have a job in town, as they say, to keep the farm going. But here's the problem. This is why one of the major reasons why farms are disappearing. And it's not just farms, it's the whole middle class, right? Generation, especially with a centennial farm, what you have is generation after generation has been paying it forward. They didn't go on vacation, they didn't take a cruise, they didn't whatever. The money went into the manure lagoon, or the milking parlor, or they tiled the field, okay? They didn't buy a fancy car, they got the old pickup. Okay, maybe they bought a tractor.
Right.
But now, and back in the day, when Grandpa got a little loopier than usual, you put him in a rocking chair on the front porch. Nowadays, you put him in a nursing home that costs hundreds of thousands a year, okay? And now, and there's no cash in the farm, we put it into the milking parlor. Okay, fine. But now, we're selling off the farm 10 acres at a time. Over and over and over again, that's what we're seeing, because people haven't planned ahead. Now, you don't have a centennial farm, but every generation pays it forward. The Federal Reserve says that half of a family's assets are gifted or inherited. What if you can't do that for your family? People talk all the time, oh, the middle class is shrinking, the middle class is shrinking. We all stand on the shoulders of giants.
So people need to pay attention and make certain that you protect your assets. Thank you, David. Appreciate
Thank you, Paula.
that.
You bet.
Thank you for watching AARP Real Possibilities. Social Security has been around for 90 years, and now it's up to you to make certain that it's around for 90 more.